talk about the evolution of events at Exit 5, because you guys have been doing, I know you have the marketing leadership retreat, or
hmm
is that the thing that you guys have done regularly, or is that the thing that you're doing coming up? Just so I'm clear.
So that is new for us. Marketing Leadership Retreat is new for us.
Okay,
And
that's new.
then our one, yeah, the one that we've been doing is Drive. So we've done Drive 2024 and 2025, and then we have obviously 2026 coming up as well. So we started with Drive. That was the first event that they did. I actually didn't work on 2024, but I worked on 2025. And then after we did the 2024 Drive, we did a meetup in Austin, which we've done a few different like community meetups here and there. We've done Boston and we've done New York City. And those are like more scaled down events, just like meetups, networking, and we'll do a panel every now and then, but
Yep.
we'll just host those and it'll be drinks, networking, all that good stuff. But Drive is more of our flagship conference and it's for B2B marketers. Obviously, it's what we focus on. And we normally host it in Vermont. We've been hosting it in Burlington, but we're moving it over to Stowe this year for 2026, which I'm really
Yeah.
excited about. Yeah.
Good
And we're going to
snowboarding up
do,
there.
yeah, but we're going to be there in September. So we don't even get to snowboard while we're there, but we'll do some
Boo.
hiking, which will be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do, normally it's about 100 to 200 people, but this year we're going to do about 400 people, which is exciting. So we're leveling up. And that's kind of Drive. It's just for any B2B marketer out there, no matter your title and what area of B2B marketing you work in. And then for the marketing leadership retreat, that's going to be in March, and we're doing that in Arizona. So I'm deep in planning for that right now. And that's for CMOs and VPs of marketing, heads of marketing, all of those good people. And we're going to do a lot of like leadership focused content for the leadership retreat. And like I said, it's new this year. So it's a new one for us, but we're super excited about it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some of the programming for that because I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Something that just came to me, like, why go from 200 to 400 people for a drive?
So in 2024, I believe they sold out in 24 hours for tickets, and that was like 150 tickets or something like that. And then for 2025, we did applications last year. And if we didn't do applications, we probably could have sold, like, we would have sold out probably in 24 hours again and had a way bigger audience. So the demand is there for more people to come. We know that more people want to come. So we figured why not make it so that more people can come since we have such a demand for it.
Got it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
demand is there. Give the people what they want.
Yeah.
It's a starving crowd.
Yeah.
Cool. And this idea of let's talk about the leadership retreat because I think this is interesting. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the focus here is on CMOs, but it's on more of professional development rather than marketing tactics. Am I getting that right, or am I missing that?
It's kind of both. So I would say that there's definitely more of an emphasis on leadership, the leadership things than just marketing. But we have a bunch of different programming, and for our main keynote, we're going to have Dave Kellogg there. He's going to do a session on how to become the CMO that everyone wants to work with. So that's more of like a leadership thing. But then we also have workshops for things like AI and managing your CFO and board relationship and what's our other one that ecosystem as the great big growth lever. And then we're also doing like a panel style interview with Kim Storr, the CMO of Zoom. And that'll be about all things for like what's working in marketing today. So it's kind of a mix of both.
Okay.
But I would say that there's like a little bit more of an emphasis on leadership and becoming like better leaders for your team.
Was there any was that something that was? I'm imagining that's intentional. Why why now? Why this event?
Yeah, so for Drive, we have anyone can join that, and we find that there's a lot of people that come that are in that higher tier level or title level, and they want a little bit more with their peers, whereas Drive, they're with their peers, but it's with any mix of anyone.
Yeah.
And we've also recently launched the CMO Council within the community too, and that's for CMOs and VPs of marketing. And we've learned from all of them and the people that have been joining that they also want a place where they can go and have an event with their peers and talk through the things that they can't necessarily talk through with other people who are like lower than them per se. So that's why we've kind of decided to do it, because we have people talking about like wanting that. So we know if there's some people talking about it, there's more people that probably want that too.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I as a founder, and I don't know how much you know about what we do with growth dinners, but we have a series that we do where we go to cities and we have dinners with founders. And part of that is very intentional, like with the audience, because when you get a room with people that are playing at a certain level, I think you do two things. You create community really well and you create that continuity, but they also feel like seen, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm going through the same thing that you're going through. We may be a different company, but like we're going through scale issues, we're going through team issues. AI, is all over the place. So like I think that's actually pretty smart. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely what we're seeing just in the community alone. It's just everyone connecting and saying that they're working through these same things, even though they're at the different companies and stuff. Everyone's looking for a place to connect and relate to each other.
Yeah.
So having this space for them to all go and be able to talk over things like budget for 2026, or like if their budget got cut, what should they do, and things like that. So it's a good place to come and have that. So I love that you're also doing that as well. And it's just like you said, creates good community.
Yeah, it does. What in terms of how you curate the event, like with the CMOs, how do you think about like the company size, or is it, like blue chip companies, or like is it do the CMOs apply? Like how do you curate from that perspective? Yeah,
Yeah, so we have an application for it, and obviously we're being strict on title for VPs and CMOs and everything.
sure.
And then we are trying to keep the revenue tier about 25 million and above, just to keep that level of connectivity kind of the same. So while you're at a different company, you're at least still kind of going through the same issues as other companies within the same like revenue tier. So we try to
Sure.
keep it like that. And we found that we have a good audience for that revenue tier, which is kind of why we just decided to go with that and go above too.
Got it. So 25
Yeah.
million VP CMO and the
Mhm.
C-suite. What about the actual like programming of the event location? Why did you choose the location that I think is on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, it's in Arizona. We it's funny, the way we chose that location is our CEO, Dan, he was actually gonna have his wedding at the resort that we're having it at, and when we were thinking about this event, he was like, "I actually know of a great place that I didn't have my wedding at, but I think it'd be great for this kind of event," and that's why we chose that. So
That's
no,
funny.
like yeah, no specific reason, like rhyme or reason why we chose Arizona, just we knew of the venue and said, "Yeah, this looks good."
That's funny. In my mind,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they strategically chose this because of where it's located and on the West Coast, right? Like, there's more
Yeah,
companies coming from SF and LA
yeah.
or whatever, but that's not the case. That's so funny.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could say that too, but yeah, it's really because Dan just had a good idea on one of the events a venue that he had been to.
How do you think about the programming?
Yeah, the programming mostly comes down to Dave, our founder. He is a former CMO, excuse me, and so is Dan is too, and they both kind of tag team the programming together, but mostly Dave. And he has this list of CMOs and people that he's worked with in the past, and just people that he thinks have a strong point of view of things. And he kind of thinks about what he wanted to know as a CMO and takes that and applies it to the programming for us to kind of figure out what he thinks would be a good fit. So it mostly comes down to him, and then from there, he'll say, "Okay, here are my people," and then I'll go get them and book them.
Nice. So he
Mhm.
has, it sounds like he has like a board of sorts, or like a sounding board.
Yeah, for the most part.
Um, how do you, in terms of like is there anything that you're doing that you feel like is unique, or that like that you can share? Obviously, I don't want you to like blow your cover, and you know, is there any like, what would you say is some of the like things that are your taste, right, or your style, that's going to make this unique or differentiated from other CMO events that may be out there?
Yeah, so aside from for the programming kind of focusing on leadership, which is kind of unique to us, I think, we're also creating a bit of, like, third spaces for a lot of the attendees. So
Mm,
on day we're 2 it's like 1.5 days really of, like, programming, but everyone will get in on, Wednesday, and then we'll have a full day of stuff on Thursday, and then we'll have a half day of stuff on Friday. On Thursday, the official, like, day 1, we have in the afternoon basically, you have the afternoon off to go and connect with other people, so you can go play around with golf, which is on us. You can go have an in-room massage if you wanna have some more quiet time. You can go have, we're gonna do, like, a pool hang, so people can just come and do some networking by the pool, have drinks and things like that. we'll have some workout classes and things. And we've also built this into Drive too, and it's just like the concept of excursions is what we call them, and it just gives people more of a chance to have a place to go and talk about. They can talk about work if they want to, or they can just talk about their personal lives because everyone wants to also talk about personal lives too. So creating those third spaces, I think, are kind of unique to us because I feel like a lot of other events, they'll do some of that stuff, but I feel like they're not as intentional with it as we are, where we really carve out the time for it and we go encourage people to go and hang out with everyone and like take some time and talk to one another and create some friends. So that way, whenever you leave, you have this whole new group of friends that are within your peer network and you can go and talk to them like 6 months down the road. If you're like, oh, I'm in this problem, but no one else can relate to it, but I know this person can. And you met them through doing yoga together.
Nice. Yeah,
Mhm.
the concept of a third space for somebody who may not or may just be hearing that for the first time, can you explain what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a third space is a place that's not home or work. So it could be like your favorite coffee shop, it could be a bar, it could be at an event where you go and do some networking and things like that. So it's just a place where you can go where you don't have to, where you're not sitting at home and you're not sitting at work. So it's just like a third space, like somewhere
Sure.
to go where you can kind of unplug.
I think the at least what we were sold at some point was Starbucks is that or was
Yes.
that place. I don't, it might
Yeah,
still be, I don't know. It's not for me.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a
Um
big Starbucks person, but maybe like your local coffee shop is better.
yeah, your local coffee shop. And
Yeah,
so and it sounds like this is intentionally so like when I go to conferences, right? Like one of the things that I do, like sometimes I don't even like go to the actual conference. I just hang out at the bars or like
yeah,
in the hallways because that's where I've found that I get the opportunity to like actually build a connection by having conversations with people. Because in the
yeah.
breakout sessions or in like the main like exhibit hall or sometimes in the exhibit hall, but even then people are kind of like, but in the like the keynote room, right? Like you can't really
Mhm.
actually build that rapport. So I think
No.
that's actually pretty unique and smart what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we do that. We, have and all of our events, we do little, like, networking events and stuff too, so we'll do speed networking, which is fun, and it's just, like, a quick way to get people to break the ice and meet with one another, but then after that, we'll just, like, have cocktails and stuff, and it's not and there's no programming or anything other than, like, the speed networking, but it's just, like, go and talk with people so you can actually have those connections and relationships, and I think it's so important because while you're there for the content and whatever programming the event has, you definitely still wanna meet people too, so
Yeah, and you never, I mean, you never know what the future holds, right? You could be a CMO of a
right.
company today. Tomorrow that company could fold or right, you may find another opportunity where you have, you can make more money, right? So like
Yeah,
networking with other CMOs, right? It just makes sense, right? It just makes sense.
exactly.
I'm
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, do you guys like do icebreakers or anything like that? Or do you just kind of say, hey, here's a go to this yoga class or go to get drinks, here are the drink tickets. Do you do any like programming around like prompts and getting people to like at least start that dialogue or kind of like how do you facilitate that connection if you do at all?
Yeah, so for things like our excursions, like yoga and things like that, we don't do any sort of prompts because the way we do it is we'll let you opt in before the event. So we'll grab some information for you and then you can opt in so you know you're going to yoga. But we don't do any sort of like specific prompts or anything for that. But for our speed networking, which we do at like our cocktail hours and stuff, we'll have Dave get on the mic and he'll give everyone the details of like how to do speed networking. So you'll find a partner, you'll share your LinkedIn QR code. That's like the first thing you should do. So go ahead and have that ready to scan. And then after that, he'll give like a few questions. And it can be anything from like, what is your favorite local coffee shop? Like if we're in New York City and we know that everyone is in New York City, we'll say, what's your
Yeah.
favorite place to get coffee? Things like that. Or it can be work related. So I think just giving like one or two questions makes it easy for people because then as soon as they get to the other person, they can just be like, my favorite coffee shop is this instead
Yeah,
of
yeah,
being
yeah,
like
yeah.
giving like the whole pitch and everything. So we do a little bit of it, but we don't do it too much to where it feels like forced and kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's more of like a personal thing. Yeah.
I got that. I got it. We do that similar with our dinners. So
Yeah.
like last night we had a dinner. My favorite is like my go-to is like your favorite breakfast. It's like what's your
Oh,
favorite breakfast? And it
yeah.
seems like it seems silly, right? It's like come on, like no one wants to care about your breakfast. But last night this guy goes his name is Tim. He goes, "Yeah, my favorite breakfast is ice cream with cereal."
Oh, What a fun breakfast.
So, but it's a great conversation starter because now
Yeah.
you've hooked everyone in the room because they're like, "Wait, what?" Like,
What the heck?
yeah, I would have never
I
never
love that.
thought. And corned beef hash was his other one. He was like, it's a
Interesting.
dead tie between corned beef hash and ice cream with cereal." So we were like, "Wow, that's interesting."
Okay.
Yeah,
Good for him.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to steal that. I like that question. That's a good one.
that's a
We'll
good
have to
one.
use that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then in terms of, I think like the curation you guys are doing is pretty cool. I love that you guys are still doing the drive and you're cranking it up with 400 people this year. Are there any other things that you think about in terms of like, you know, event curation, or do you have a point of view on what you feel like, because a lot of companies are starting to do this now, obviously, like events are hot again, right? Everybody's
Mhm.
like, I'm done with COVID. We're never going. Everybody wants to hang out, and it's like,
Yeah.
cool, like send me on the company trip, or whether it's, for growth internally or externally for conferences or dinners or meetups, like their events are in vogue. But I wonder if you have a point of view based on, kind of like what you see, or like a playbook, or any kind of like, or these are the three things that I always think about when I'm organizing event or when I'm thinking about our customers for the Exit 5 events. What would that be if you had one? If you had two or three?
Um, yeah. So first I want to do a quick call out on something that Dave learned from another CMO that I think is really valuable for anyone planning events. And that's something that I've been trying to implement recently. And it's Sydney Salone. She's the CMO of G2. And she said for all of their events, she'll sit down and she has like this chart and it's think, feel, do before, during, and after. So it's like a chart like this. Think, feel,
Mm,
do across the top and then before, during, after down the side. And you fill in that chart and it's what do you want your attendee to think before the event, after the event, during the event. What do you want them to do? And then what do you want them to feel, obviously. So I think that that's super helpful. And I've been kind of trying to implement that. But then also something that so when I'm planning our events, I get a little bit of travel anxiety whenever I'm going places, whether it's work or just traveling anywhere. And so I try to think of that experience from me having anxiety going somewhere and how I can alleviate that. So if I have anxiety going somewhere, someone else is going to have anxiety going somewhere. So I want to
right.
make sure that we think about every single step that might be a pain point for them. So if they need to know how check-in is going to work, I'm going to give them the details on how check-in is going to work. If they need to know how to get to the hotel, anything along those lines, I just go down all the way down to like if I were attending this event, what would I want to know? And what would I want to make sure I know ahead of time so I don't feel lost when I'm there. And that's like kind of the framework that I follow when I'm thinking through our events. And then one funny thing that I just want to call out is we recently went to Stowe to go check out the new venue for Drive this year. And Anna, she does a lot of stuff with our partnership or not our sponsorships. She helps me a lot with events, and we were literally walking around the venue with a timer on our phones, just like seeing how long it took to get from one place to another. So if
Wow.
I run a show, we know like how long it's going to take, and we added like 15 minutes to whatever it took us to make sure that people have time to like talk to one another while they're going and stuff like that. So just really bringing it down to like the attendee perspective and thinking about if you were attending the event, what would you want to have, or like what resources do you need? I think that's super helpful.
Those are all great.
Yeah.
What is it? Feel, do, think, feel, do. Am I saying it
Yeah.
wrong? Think, feel, do.
Think, feel, do. Yeah.
Think, feel, do. That's the first time I heard that. That's really cool. And then I think you have a framework. It's called the anxiety framework.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly. I like that. That's the official name now. I'm gonna write about that
Yeah.
on LinkedIn.
I should have travel anxiety because I've missed like 15 flights in my life, probably
Oh my
more.
gosh,
Yeah.
that's my nightmare.
I'm the worst at like the airport stuff. And then the fact that you guys would just think to time like walking in that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty thoughtful, yeah.
It's a pretty big venue, so we were walking beforehand, when we were prepping to go to the venue and kind of figure out what we needed to make sure we, like, saw when we were there. The number one thing that we were saying is, "This is a big venue, we need to figure out how long it takes to get from one place to another," because we're moving 400 people around, that's a lot of people to be
That
moving
is.
back and forth to different buildings.
It is.
So we were like, "We need to make sure we time how long it's gonna take," because that's something that could have a big impact on our run of show, like, we have a speaker speaking at 2, and
Yep.
it takes everyone a while to get there, and then only half the room is full whenever a speaker's going on stage, that's not a good look. So just just thinking about those types of things I think are super important.
Yeah, I'd agree wholeheartedly. That's those are all things you should think about. I have this part of the podcast that we do toward the end, which we're coming up on,
Mhm.
where it's called the 111. So basically, it's one book that you would recommend.
Okay.
That you don't have to be reading it now. Like it
Okay.
could be a book you read in the past, or it could be something that like you recommend. Um, and then one quote, right? One quote, and then
Okay.
one quote or room that you have sorry, and one room that's had like an impact on your career, on your life that you've been in, right? So the 111.
Okay. Does the book have to be like can it be like any type of book?
Any book.
Okay. I'm gonna be so basic to probably any girl that's listening and recommend the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. If anyone's a fantasy person, it's a good fantasy book.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Not my
it's super
genre, but I'll mention it to all the ladies.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. It's a good, I feel like it's very big in the girl world right now. And then quote, I am gonna fully mess it up, but I'm gonna like paraphrase it. And I believe it's by Mother Teresa, and it's just to leave every room that you enter with better than you entered it. I think it's something like that, or leave a smile on everyone's face when after you leave a room, something along those lines. You'll have to look it up, but I believe it's Mother Teresa.
Perfect.
And then room. Can you explain that one just a little bit further?
Yeah, so maybe if I told you a story it would help encapsulate it.
Yeah.
Um so this is probably wow, many moons ago. So this is probably 2012 or 2011 actually. Um I have I have a pitch, right, to assign
Mhm.
this client. And one of the things last minute that I decided to do, I go, I'm gonna grab some bagels. And so I stop off at this bagel shop. I don't like bagel something. I don't even remember the name. So I grab a half dozen of bagels, some, cream cheese, the different flavors, throw it in the bag. I get in the room and these people are just like they're ready to tear me apart, right? So they're like, I had gotten word that the guy that I was going to be like up against, the owner, that he's tough as nails, right? He's the no BS guy, get straight to the point. So I walk in and I say, hey, I brought you guys lunch, hope you love some bagels. And they're just like, you could see like everybody's energy just like completely shift. And they're like, "Oh man, you brought us bagels. This is so cool." I ended up closing that deal, and because of that room and me closing that deal, it ended up that company's still running today. I have two other co-founders that I started it with, but
That's awesome.
that was like the first deal that we signed contract with that venue,
Yeah.
that allowed us to do our weekly music festival there. So that was in
Cool.
2011. Yeah.
Nice.
So that was a
I
room for me. Yeah. One of the
Okay.
rooms. And it doesn't have to be the room, it could be any
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
That's a helpful example. So I would say, back to my job before this, the room that I entered to have my interview for that job is the one room for me because it got me to exit 5. That's where I met my past boss, and that's how she recommended me to this job. So I wouldn't be here if I would not have entered that room. So big shout out to that room, even though it was for another job, but it got me to this job, which I love.
The power of rooms of influence. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. We're at time. So if anybody's listening, Allison, tell them where they can connect with you or hear about Exit 5, what you guys got going on. Maybe they're a CMO and they want to jump in and see what you guys got going on.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, just Allison Saxon, 2 L's and an I, and Allison. And then for Exit 5, you can find us just exit5.com, all spelled out. And all of our stuff is there. All of our socials are Exit 5, and all of our information we post all over the place. So just go to exit5.com. That's where we have everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is super cool. Wishing you guys the best with the leadership retreat and drive this year.
Thanks.
And maybe I'll come out if I get an invitation. I don't know. Not saying that you got to invite me, but
we do have drive tickets going on sale soon, so I'll put you on that first to know list for
Put me
sure.
on the list. Yeah.
I got you.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Thanks.
having me on. This was fun.